Good afternoon. I think things are all working like they're supposed to. Can you hear me okay? I can hear me like it's really loud where I'm sitting. So if you can hear me, I'm happy. This is a regular city council workshop, rather, not a regular meeting. City council workshop of August 5th, 2025. It is 1 o'clock. Would you join us for the Pledge of Allegiance by Mayor Pro Tem Hattman?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We're going to have a roll call to establish presence of a quorum. Ward 1.
Here.
Ward 3.
Here.
Ward 4.
Here.
Mayor, here we do have a quorum present. I have one form filled out by Jennifer. You going to do it when we get to the first item on the agenda, Jennifer, which will be the hot funds?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
We're going to be there in just a second.
Okay.
First item on the agenda is hotel occupancy tax outstanding issues for the HOT grant program for fiscal year 2025-2026. Ms. Schroner.
Mayor and council, there was a change, suggested after the last meeting that we have hot funds, and I have updated the spreadsheet at the direction of, Councilmember Brundrett. So if you guys would like to take a look at this, I am going to let Stephanie and Brad give, more detail into the direction that they suggested. And then I'll talk some more.
You want me to go?
Or
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll get to her. We'll let her hear what y'all have to say, then she talks.
Okay. Go ahead. Do you want to do it or you want me to do it?
go ahead, you're started. I'll fill in what you need.
All right. Following our last workshop, we met with downtown merchants, basically over the downtown harbor light, or downtown lights for the Christmas lights. We met with a large group, and we discussed all the issues that we had, and coming out of that, looks like we're gonna try to make a positive recommendation to move forward with that, taking some of the money away from the Art Fest and moving those funds over to the harbor or Christmas lights. Letting know and moving that the Art Fest we will look for in future years. Maybe that'll happen, maybe it won't. But for now, we're just gonna use that money for the lights. And we talked to all the merchants. They're very supportive of it, knowing that it's gonna go in their buildings. They're gonna be responsible for the electricity. And the company that we're gonna potentially go with, is responsible for the put up, take down, maintenance, everything. So the city's pretty much hands off of this after we allocate hot funds, possibly allocate hot funds to it. What else did I miss?
No, I mean, we discussed at the meeting that large number of support. Taking on that responsibility was a huge factor, especially taking that off the city's responsibility. I know that was one of the concerns. We implied that they need to come back and show that commitment from those merchants, as well as the property owners and renters. We talked about connectivity, electric cost. It was a real big thing because we're gonna be putting money into that area, but realistically, you're 2 years out from that. We have to think about what could be done in a 2-year span for that area. And I think this is a good opportunity. It gives them 2 years to kind of get creative with encouraging it. Lights are also vehicle traffic, but they can be foot traffic as well. So I know that was a big thing, closures in the road during construction period, but we're still 2 years out. We have 2 full holiday seasons to utilize this measure. So I think it's a good idea. I definitely think that reallocating it from the art event was a good idea. I know that that's still something that would potentially be looked at in the future. I think that pretty much covers everything.
All right, Jennifer, you have to come up here, so
Okay,
be sure to pick
okay.
it up on the mic.
Okay, well, just with regards to that, and Brad, you'd mentioned Art Fest, it's actually the fine art
celebration. It's not the Art Fest, which is the Center for the Arts. So just to clarify that.
I knew I was gonna get it wrong, whatever
No,
I
no,
called it.
no, I just want to clarify it, and then looking at this report, I see 37.8, is that right? We had on hold 45,650 for the fine art. Are we changing that amount? Because what we were trying to do was take those funds that were on hold for the fine art celebration and move those over to the district lights.
So the mention at the last meeting was that the lights actually cost $37,000.
That's for the facades. It does not include a downtown Christmas tree, and that's what we were trying to do.
Okay, then you need to give me a new number.
I don't think we have that final number.
Okay.
As of the end of our meeting, I think if you bring us back a different number, do you have that number today?
Yeah, it's the same amount that we worked on, and Scarlett and I have gone back through and talked to the vendor. We have literally gone and talked to merchants, we've talked to building owners, we've done a lot of due diligence. And so we have worked within the 45,650, which was allocated to be set aside for the fine arts celebration, and that's the number we were looking to move over to the district light. So that doesn't change. That was an amount that was put on hold last workshop.
Okay, so 45,650, not the 30.
37, it looks like 37.
Yeah.
I'm
Okay.
sorry, I don't have my glasses on.
And within that, just let us know exactly what all it includes.
Absolutely. So you're talking about the facades. Are you talking about right now? Okay, talking about the facades on the downtown buildings, and I'm talking about going from Texas Maritime Museum all the way down to Market Street. We have talked to, there are 4 that we have not talked to, but 2 of them are the old Cool Coast Tech, the little building at the very end, it's an island. There's 2 businesses in there. And that is not contiguously joined to Shopping by Salvin, right next door, which is the long contiguous. The other is the Yacht Basin, which is this little blue roofed kind of hotel. It's also an island. We're also looking at see what we can put into Veterans Memorial Park across the street, kind of just some random pieces to kind of bring that contiguousness. And the last one, let me see. Oh, the last one is Salty Dolphin. Now, that is attached to Rock Bottom Park and Pub. However, Ron Meyer and Joellen Meyer I have communicated with. They own that building. They paid for the lights last year, the rooftop lights, and they very much support this initiative. So I think we're very good, and this is going to be a fantastic opportunity for our community from starting October 25th through January 5th. Okay.
Thank you.
Huh?
Appreciate it.
Okay, so that will increase your bottom line there by $8,650. The spreadsheet you got also encompasses all of the other changes that you requested at the last meeting, not just this one. So everything that you had asked for more money to be allocated to was added here. So your total would be $1,342,900 for your total allocation. Remember, we're projecting, or we're estimating an income this year of about 1 million. We were not gonna go past the 1.2 for next year. So anything over that is going to dip into the reserves, which we discussed, just so you know. The other thing is you cannot commit this money to the lights for next year. You can only commit from year to year. So I want everybody to understand, if there's no sales tax, there's no lights next year, or whatever the juggling act is, you are not committing for a multi-year event.
Can I ask a question on that? Yeah. I want to clarify, I'm not against having Christmas lights. Make sure that very clear. I want you guys to be able to do it. My question is, after this year, getting the Christmas lights, what is your plan to keep it growing and keeping it moving forward to make sure that we can justify the cost of what we're doing?
Well, first of all, it's a 1-year lease, so I can clarify that what we're talking about here today is for 1 year, so for this year's event. Secondly, I can tell you that of the study that was done, and hopefully everyone got that in your package, it showed examples in 10 different cities of the impact, the positive impact. In those different cities, which ranged, from 10 to 30%, I know that there was a study done here just based on our hotel motel, and it's an anticipated 25%. And so, it's a new project, but the due diligence has been done and the facts are there for us to have a fairly strong comfort level of success, or we wouldn't pursue it to begin with.
So my only question is, again, with the hot funds, where the hot funds are for putting heads in beds. So if we're giving just a 1-year expense, how do we justify that? Just legally, how is that justified in?
So what we're doing here is we're tying, and I asked for a breakdown, and I didn't see it back, but
I didn't know you asked for a breakdown.
I sent you an email.
I haven't gotten it, I promise.
No, hold on,
Okay.
hold on. Maybe I'm not saying the right thing.
Okay.
It has to be tied to an event. Lights cannot just be paid for. So what we're doing is the lights are gonna support all the events that you're gonna send me a list of.
And I did, I sent
To
it.
me?
Yeah, to you and to Shelley.
Okay, then
And Stephanie was on that as well.
Great.
Of that narrative that had all those in it.
Okay, so I'm so sorry then, I haven't seen it,
Okay.
but that doesn't,
I get it.
listen. Okay, so we're gonna tie the lights to events or support for all of the events that are gonna happen. So all of the events are what's gonna need to generate the heads and beds. So if you have hot cocoa on the square, I need to know how many people came out from out of town for hot cocoa on the square that the lights have supported. So that's how we're gonna do that. It's a fine line, but I think in going that manner, it's justifiable.
No, thank you, and that does help me feel more justified on spending it. Again, I don't wanna come into a legal battle of giving money
Sure,
out, and then that
absolutely.
turns into an issue. So that helps.
I have a question
Thank
on
you.
that. You guys have the means to record that information though for us.
So that prompted me to come back and say, what I currently have right now is through the Texas Historical Commission's, their data file report. That is an estimation based on the boundaries of the cultural arts district. So I need to understand right now, if you're wanting us to have someone standing out at every one of these events and taking tallies versus a software that tracks coming in and out. That's what I need to know, because that's a whole nother level of resources, and I need to make sure that they're there.
I think we'll take whatever you have and we'll take our Placer AI and, there'll be a bump in the area because of the event. We can watch the trend. I can't tell you 25 people came for X, but I can tell you 25 people came to this area from out of town. And I think that's sufficient data that we can get. We're gonna have to be diligent and I'm gonna need some help, but I think we can handle it.
Well, I also can ask the THC to say, okay, give me a report from December 10th to December 14th. I can't narrow that down to a more finite time frame versus a quarterly, which is I do quarterly because I do quarterly reports for the hot funds. So if we need to narrow that window, they may not like me a whole lot because they have to generate all these reports, but that's okay. I'll do what I need to do.
I think more data you get, especially for this, is only gonna support continuation of funding and moving forward. You're gonna have to come back next year and prove that this
Sure.
was assessed.
And I agree with that.
Yeah.
When we take all of that data and you're gonna have to ask them for more reports,
That's
but
fine.
they're fine. That's their job.
Yeah. Well,
And so we'll take all of the data together and we'll look at the trends and we can see very clearly if it's up or not. And it's gonna be the first year of software and of the event, so we won't be able to compare necessarily year over year, but we'll have a picture.
Compare the sales tax during that period. There's other things.
Exactly.
Yep,
Try to
exactly.
correlate to it, to see a return. So just as much information as you can,
okay.
collect. I know it's extra work, but it could potentially be rewarding.
It really helps us to be able to use the data file reports versus having people on the street trying to capture people coming and going. You know, it's a little difficult, right? But we can do what we need to do. We're dedicated to this. We want to see it be successful, and we'll do what it takes to make that happen.
Thank you. There were others that indicated they would like to speak. If you would like to speak and you have a form that you could fill out, if you would give it to our city secretary over here, you're welcome to come up here and speak. You just hand her the form. I will let you talk if you didn't fill out the form, if you need to. But if you fill one of those out, bring it with you, come up to the podium and hand the form over to her. Anyone else on this subject?
Okay, this is great, but I think there's an opportunity here to use some sales tax to offset this. So I don't know.
Would you give us your name and address?
Sorry,
I know who you
Jatin
are, but
Bhakta,
thank you.
224 Reserve Lane.
Thank you.
In the past, I know that this was before Vanessa got here, but we did, hotels paid for $500,000 of the restrooms downtown. That equates to about, gosh, what's that, $7 million of heads and beds. That's $7 million of tourists spending money in the hotels and short-term rentals. That's what we expended for restrooms. And there's no payback on that. And so I caution on this is that, and maybe we'll provide, if that 6-week period that the lights happen, I'll track my occupancy. I can provide year over year, see how that's going. But in the future, this is a one-time trial, but in the future, I'd say sometimes in events like this that the merchants are benefiting, try to put some sales tax behind it along with hotel tax, not just always hotel tax. That's where we kind of fail. And I just advise on everybody on the council just to look at that. It's like, hey, what portion of hotel tax and what portion of sales tax? So sometimes people look at this as like it's that money in the back pocket because it's visitors' cash. Just be a little more prudent. Just say, hey, what's the payback? What's it going to do? And if you do it again, I would combine it with sales tax. So, but I will provide that data.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Mayor, what Jatin is saying is basically going along with the Mayor Pro Tem has stated that, this is the first year we're doing this event, and are we making sure we're correctly allocating the hot funds? And I agree with Jatin and what Mayor Pro Tem is saying is, so we should make sure that we're doing it right, and maybe next year we look at that. Is it sales tax? Is it truly putting heads in the beds to where we're actually getting the funding from? Is that what we're getting out of this? So I think we just need to look at that next year and maybe the year after and see where the money's actually going to, coming from, and make sure we don't end up in prison for allocating hot funds for something.
They
Well,
like
I
stripes.
think the reporting is key. I think some of the stuff that, we've looked at Placer AI. I think
Placer AI, I've looked at some of the data for some of the events this year and last year. The Mardi Gras was one. The other ones I had questions on was the Smithsonian. Both of those events, true heads and beds was probably less than 200 people from out of town. So sometimes these entities will give you numbers, but when you look at Placer AI, it doesn't lie. It tells you how many zip codes came in based on their cell phone data. And I think the Placer AI, the reports I saw was that's not enough. For the money we've spent, the county spent, some of these events don't add up as far as the heads and beds. So.
The other thing that we need to consider is there's supposed to be a path off of hot funds for events.
Yeah.
So what is the path off? Is it funded by sales tax? Take it in-house, that then becomes another capital project. So the metric we were looking at allows funding for an event for 3 years. We haven't put it in place, believe me. We haven't done anything without your consent. But some cities allow funding for 3 years for you to grow your event and get it off of hot funds. So we need to be thinking about what the path forward is, because I don't think hot funds is gonna fund this indefinitely either.
What was the 1.2 was last year. You're estimating $1 million this year, collection wise?
We estimated 1.2 last year. Sorry, and we're gonna end up at about 1.1. So I'm not comfortable pushing it past 1.2 again for this year.
Okay.
So I'll put the estimates at 1.2, knowing that we're $100,000 short this existing year, potentially. We still haven't gotten the 4th of July data in, nothing's solid, things wiggle. I'll put in the 1.2 and the 142.9 is coming off of reserves straight off the top to make our balanced budget. Now, if we get in more, that's fantastic. It goes back into reserves.
What was was it like 1,415 before all this?
No,
I thought there was a higher number than this.
there is, you're correct. We
Okay.
put 200,000 in for the CVB out of reserves.
Well,
we
I'm just
had the
saying in
wiggle
prior years. In prior years, I mean, it's been declining, just for overall perspective for everybody, this used to be at a 1,415 number.
I know, I made a graph. It maybe was up 1 year,
Okay,
to the 1.4 area, but it's been going down ever since
ever since.
I've
then.
been here.
Okay,
Oh, here it is.
Was that after COVID? We had a peak of travel after COVID.
yeah,
that
but even before
bruised a lot
COVID,
of
before Harvey even.
No, this is. So we had that one peak year.
So 2022 was a little over 1.4.
Yeah, and then,
That was the highest, okay. And 21, oh, okay, wow. Was below $1 million? Wow. Oh, well, that was a COVID year.
right, that was COVID.
And then 23 came in at 1.2, okay. Okay.
You can keep that if you want. Okay.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Craig Griffin, I'm chair of the CVB, and I'm also, live at 901 South Water Street. But I just want to say one number, which I say, and probably ad nauseum to a lot of people, but if you give $10,000 tax money, allocate $10,000 hot tax, that is equivalent to $142,900 in hotel rentals, which, being very generous and putting a high daily rate, is 1,200 rooms. So every $10,000 you give away is equivalent to 1,200 rooms to regenerate that same 10,000, just to get even.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? Ms. Ronner?
I'll take your direction.
I'm okay. We want to allocate those funds from the fine arts and with the outpour of support. You know, we can do that this year, but the reporting really needs to be done correctly. And I would like to see what Jatin said with the sales tax versus the hotel tax, if they're going to continue to ask for more funding on this event.
Yes, ma'am.
Is that a motion or is
No,
that?
we can't, we can't.
No, yeah, we're in a workshop. Yeah, same, I support allocating those funds. With the same caveat on the reporting and everything, I want to make sure we're doing it right and move forward with it.
I was favorably impressed with the number of emails I got from people supporting the idea. I got a whole bunch of those, and I appreciate that. Sometimes I don't appreciate getting a whole bunch of emails, but these I appreciated a lot. And I would say this, I favor doing what we're recommending here. I think that it would be really important and incumbent on the folks that are working on the project to try to see that it is as successful as it can possibly be, which means that I hope that it doesn't rain a lot. I hope that it doesn't get real cold and get ice on the ground, and everything is very successful, because we can't do this every year with hot funds. We can't. But I would look forward to doing it every year for the next, it's nearly said 50, but I won't be here then. But anyway, I appreciate everybody who contacted us. Stephanie?
I definitely agree with everything that's already been said. Again, just collect that data, show proof and success. You know, we're here to support you guys, but it has to be justified support. Other than that, I'm on board with everything.
Numbers, it'll look like it does here on your spreadsheet with the addition of the 8650 for district lights, and that will be in the budget that you're presented with on the 12th, I believe. Yep.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anything else on item number 1? Item number 2, receive fiscal year 2026 preliminary budget and fiscal year 2025 tax rate.
Can we not put his presentation up there? he run through his presentation with it up there as is?
Mr. Sherrill.
Sorry, new technology.
You want me to sit? Can I sit there?
Don't mind if Robbie sits down to give his presentation? Here.
We love our new building and our new sound system, but it's got kinks in it, and we're working on it.
Does that one go?
I think
Looks like we need to hold it. Okay.
Just right. There we go. Okay, cool. Thanks, Juan. Okay.
Good to go.
It's got the speaker, so yeah, okay. We're good. All right, good afternoon. We are revisiting where we left off before, just going through some of the slides that we had talked about. We were wanting to look at some of the tax rates. We had talked about the CIP, we talked about the streets, and that we were looking at trying to get some of the streets off the CIP, and that these were the ones that had been on and that we had seen time and time again, and these were the main arterial streets that we were wanting to do, and also had $300,000 in there for engineering design work for Austin Street, to be looking at that for possibility to work on next year. There's also a little bit of drainage and then also cost of issuance. Total amount we're estimating to be about $3.7 million. There is also the V&E portion. This is, of course, for replacement equipment. There's also the police radios that are end of life, the belt press, the reimbursement resolution for the volunteer fire department. That's over $600,000 just in and of itself. The evidence vehicle for police, purple pipe to Memorial Park, and of course, cost of issuance. Total CIP, we're looking at about $7 million on that. This is where we are right now with the preliminary budget. It includes about 23 days of reserves. We're looking at about $64 million at this time. This does include health. This does include health insurance, but health insurance, and we'll talk about it a little later on, it was negotiated down a little bit, so we still need to adjust those numbers. So this should go down a little bit. Let's see where we're going. We talked about the $40 million reduction in values. We talked about the rates. The rates where they are right now. We're going to be looking at doing the voter approved. These are the calculations from tax assessor collector. If you are really bored and want to go through that. Here is the popular Excel chart that that we look at. This has, of course, the tax assessor collectors rates, rates in them, excuse me. With the voter approved, we're looking at about 13.2% increase with the estimated increase, incremental increase from prior year to be $252. That includes the 7 million of CIP and projects. The overall, what that would get us is 200,000 on the M&O side and 1.3 million on the INS side. The tax assessor collector is giving us 104% collection amount, and the incremental increase is about 1%. If you do what our average tax value increase from last year was just under $25,000. So that $252 divided by the $25,000 is about 1%, just marginal. If y'all have any questions, please feel free to stop me. So what this is a graph of is the, on the left shows the total debt service revenue, and it shows it going up, and it shows what the tax rate is as it increases. The yellow line that slopes down, what that is showing is what your incremental increase is. And what this is trying to show is that as you increase your tax rate on the INS side, your the marginal revenues that come off of that per penny go down. So it's not, you can't just say it's a flat amount, and a rule of thumb, you can't just say it's a rule of thumb and that one amount is good for any tax rate. I mean, and we'll talk about it a little more, but what this is just showing is that as you go up in the tax rate, your marginal amount that you're able to get off of each penny goes down. So this is the raw data to that graph that we just looked at. And if you look over at the, the fourth column down, you can see that at that negative 240, it's showing negative 244, but what it is that as your pennies go up, as the total tax rate, you see that that's going up from 40.5, and it's going up by half cent to 45.5. As it goes up, you can see that the marginal amount that you're able to get off of each penny is going down. It starts at 244, and as it goes higher and higher, it drops to $1 up to $184. So as you go up in the tax rate, the amount of money that you're able to get for debt service gets less and less per penny. That's what that's really trying to show. The debts, this is showing that for the, this is showing the effect of interest rates, because we talked about that interest rates would have a bearing in terms of how much money we could get. What this is showing is that at 3%, how much, this is on, $7 million of debt, but at 3%, how much it costs versus at 7%, it's a straight line, it's an increasing line, but it's just showing that interest rates do impact, of course, cost. This is showing the raw data that's supporting that previous graph. And it's saying that for, and again, rule of thumb, but for every half point change in interest rates, your debt service changes about $700 per year. So that's just what that's trying to show.
Robbie?
Yes.
What is the prospective date of issuance for this? Before October 1?
We'd be wanting to do it before October, yes. Yes, because
if everything is approved in August, end of August.
Yes, we'd want to enter.
Looking at September.
We'd want to issue it before the beginning of the year, yes, sir.
The Fed has their next meeting, I think, in September to see about interest rates. If they drop interest rates, that would be beneficial to us.
That would be fantastic. Yes, we'll take it, absolutely. Yes, sir. Okay. Okay. This graph is just showing, debt service to debt service revenue, and it's just showing where we're expecting the red line, it's showing the debt service revenues versus the debt service requirements, and the red line shows where the current tax rate is estimated to be per tax assessor collector calculations, to cover that $7 million in debt. In CIP, excuse me, I'm so sorry. This is the raw data supporting that graph, and it's, again, just kind of showing where, it's just kind of breaking down the V and E, how much the INS would be with the V and E portion, and then if you add on the streets, where the INS would be at that 0.21 figure, for a total CIP of 6.9 or $7 million. So it's just kind of stacking. It's just kind of showing how that tax rate looks, at the different levels. And then this is showing the 7-year Treasury yield history. It has been, generally over 4%. We got lucky last year, as we talked about, that 3.74. Or Bob did a good job last year, with the issuance of 3.74. I don't know if we could do that again, but if they do lower interest rates, that would certainly help. This is that depth that we talked about. If we just roll like 7 million a year, I'm just bouncing through it. This is the tax rate. This is the rate it broken out, that the preliminary 0.44653, and this is it not broken out.
Sorry, would you go back
Yes, ma'am.
the one more?
Sure.
Okay, bottom one's what we're proposing right now.
At this time, yes, that's preliminary.
All right, thanks, I just
Okay.
moved away.
Yes, ma'am. Fund balance, the auditor is working on the 2024 audit. He's back and he's wrapping it up. So hopefully we'll have the 2024 fund balance shortly.
Also, I don't wanna speak too prematurely, but I wanna give you guys some hope. The sale of the gas system right now, we're estimated to put $1 million into the reserves, so that will give a significant boost to our reserves as well. And we'll get you a better number when the audit's done, and when the sale is finalized, that there's wiggle room within that, but that's about what we're looking at.
That's paying off our debt associated with that.
Right, that's everything.
That's our free and clear move.
Free and clear $1 million.
Yes.
Robbie, going back to we discussed that 7 million a year, kind of rolling debt for 7 million a year.
Oh, yes, sir.
Can we start working on a list of those projects of what we think we may start doing towards that 7 million a year, so we could?
Absolutely, we already have our CIP.
Yes, ma'am.
So, the streets are gonna come off the top, and then everything that's under it will move to the next. Now, we'll pull in some of the other department CIPs. The chief is gonna have some things, we're gonna buy new radios this year, but in 10 years, what are you gonna need again? New radios. So, we can start planning those things out. The public works and park stuff is probably the easy part, because we have that, but.
We have our impact fee study that we did, so we have that CIP, whatever can be funded through that.
Right, so
And
there's, the double dipping on those two lists is very minimal. I think there's 2 projects on the CIP list and the capital impact list, so there's not a lot of cross-reference there, so, it's an easy cleanup.
I think it'd be a good thing for the public to see those lists, to see what we may be going after next year and the year after and the year after, if we can just see some of those lists go out there.
Not a problem, and sorry, I didn't mean
No,
to interrupt.
and maybe start chipping away at those areas that we are annexed and we don't serve, some of those things. I think
We're working on some graphics as to what this money, that we're proposing this year, what it's gonna get. Ryan's gonna be getting me some pictures and things like that, so, it needs to be very clear where we're putting this money back into your community, and it may not impact you this year, but there's a plan. There's actually a long-term plan to get to these things, and I think that's important to show.
Yeah, I think it's just something the community hasn't seen in a while. And so if we can get that out there to them and, like I said, pictures, stuff like that, where they see something, see improvements this year, I think that goes a long way.
Well,
The
so-
ability to get more into our reserves will be a benefit to us as we're issuing any kind of debt and what kind of interest rates we're paying and so forth. So that if we put $1 million back in our reserves from sale of the gas company, I'll smile real big. I have fussed about that for about 3 years now. But that's a fantastic thing to be able to do.
The financial advisor, that's his charge, and that, we were just visiting with him this morning, talking about that and how quickly he wants to get that $1 million into fund balance before the end of the year. That is his charge, is getting it in before year end, so.
Great.
Sorry, you mentioned the 23 days added to the reserve. What is that in a dollar amount?
$1 million, let me see. I had it in here. I can't remember at what point. Let's see. I can't remember if it's earlier or later. It's probably later. I'm probably going, oops. No, it's later. Let me get to it. Let's see. It is through that. It was the next slide. Huh. It is $1,025,000.
So if we do get $1 million put in, it's just shy of 23 days. Another 23 days. Okay.
Yes, and I think council was looking for 30 days, if I remember right, in the first year.
Your charge to us was to add 30 days a year, and we'll add about 40.
Yeah. Okay.
Cool. Okay, thank you. So, yeah, when we talked about health insurance has been added into it, but it needs to be reduced because Casey did a really good job working with Brinson. We've been thrilled with them. This is the health insurance. We wanted to put this up. I know it's very small, my apologies. So the red squares were carved out, but this is from Brinson. And I hope that's not too blurry, but basically what it's doing, they're essentially the same plans. There's still a PPO and a HSA. The difference is that there would be no one, the out-of-pocket goes up on the PPO. It went up from $7,150 to $8,150 for individual, and from $14,300 to $16,300 for the PPO. The HSA stays the same, but there is no, if you go out of network, there is no benefit. It's cash pay if you go out of network. So that helped immensely, because initially when they came out of the gates, there was a 22% increase on both plans. So we visited with Brinson and made a couple of changes, requested them to go back and negotiate. That's why at the top right it says alternate and negotiated. And then so they went back to the board, and now we're looking at about a 9% increase on the HSA and about an 8% increase on the PPO. So it's significant. It's over half on the savings. So we wanted to show you all that.
So their analysis showed that we only had about 5% that ever used an out-of-network doctor as well. So
Yes.
that would be a minimal impact. I would think out-of-network is you're out of town and you go to the emergency room just because there is no in-network. So that might be the more extreme case. And I know last week we talked about giving a benefit for the people that didn't join the insurance, so, you know, maybe we'll have some people take advantage of that. I had said 4,000, I think Robbie calculated in 6,000. He and Casey figured that would be a better number. And we still will see a savings from those items, and then there's a significant incentive to seek insurance elsewhere. Now, with the caveat that you have to have insurance elsewhere. There's only like 3 options you can take, but if you're on Medicare or TRICARE, or you can get on your spouse's insurance, there's an incentive. So we're trying everything we can to get our, what's it called? Risks
Yes.
lowered so that we can keep our insurance rates low as well. The commitment to pay for employees' insurance is a big one on the part of the city. And I know that the, employees are grateful, but we want to do everything we can to keep that as one of our selling benefits.
That's risk off, definitely, as much as possible. Let's see.
Looking at that screen, Robbie,
Yes, sir.
bottom right square, I guess,
Okay.
is that what I'm supposed to be looking at? For the,
Yes, yes, sir. That's, or the,
what's the bottom line for the employee? What's it gonna increase, whether on the HSA or PPO?
it's gonna be the out-of-pocket, because the city pays for the employee's portion of the insurance. Anything outside of the employee's insurance, the employee pays 100%, but it's the out-of-pocket that and co-insurance that the employee pays. So that's where, when you're looking at this, you start it's the PPO is having the higher out of cost, because really the name of the game is to push more people over to the HSA if you can.
Okay.
And again, it's gonna take time, but it's as people get more comfortable moving over and investing in doing the HSA. I think we only have, if memory serves, it's like 15 people, something like that. 15 people that are on the HSA, so we want to get more people over if we can. Because the out-of-pocket on the HSA is, for individuals, $3,500 versus, what, $8,150 on the, for the PPO? If you get there, but.
What, do we give any incentives to go to the HSA? Does the city contribute anything to the HSAs at this time?
No, sir, not at this time. You can get more elaborate on that to encourage it.
There's a lot of incentives you can add to do that. We just haven't dipped into that area yet.
That's what we did. If you went from PPO to HSA, then the city contributed a portion of your HSA, you know, for 100% for the employee or whatever it may be.
And Brinson's working with us on that, because that's the goal, is to have be as little insured as possible. But I know that means you have to carry more of that insurance risk, of course.
It worked great if you didn't get sick, you know.
Right.
If you know, because you built up your HSA, you built
Absolutely.
up the funding in your HSA.
Well, even if you do, you pay your $3,500 and then
And you're
everything's
done.
covered.
Yeah.
So it's an education to get to that point and say, yeah, it's gonna hurt at the beginning, but, you know, you meet your $3,500 and you're free and clear for the year.
And it's not a flex account. It doesn't go away at the end of the year. It's not the user
And you
spend,
can
user
invest it,
lose at the end.
right.
Yes,
So it's,
yes.
I think that's something we could, I mean, we should start looking forward,
Well, I
looking
mean,
towards. If it, in the long run, if it saves us money, saves the city money, and it's still beneficial to the employees.
$1,000 per person that's on the HSA. If you move from what's it gonna save us if we move from PPO to the HSA? But not in the long run. Okay. I think that if you would allow us another year, I don't wanna start throwing out an estimate. We're really close to the end here.
Oh, I don't think, I'm
I mean, I
sorry.
will.
I don't think today was the day that I wanted that. I'm just saying. If we
Okay,
start
good.
looking- Start looking for that.
I think that's something that we can add in next year, and if we'll have time to talk to Brinson and see, you know, what we can do between now and next year and what incentivizing that would look like overall. I think if you wanna give us that time, that would be
I'm sorry.
fantastic.
I didn't mean today.
It would be
I'm sorry.
huge
I just thought,
benefit.
giving ideas for the future.
Huge benefit.
And that's,
Okay, and that's it. So we have, an if needed workshop on 11th. If, I feel like we have significant direction to present you the budget just at the regular meeting on the 12th. Unless you guys wanna come back on the 11th and review anything, we're happy to do that. That time is reserved for you.
I don't have a problem with that.
Couple quick questions, sorry, if I can actually speak today. Just with the gas sale and putting that into the reserves, if that actually does happen, would that, I know we put the reserve balance into our tax rate to build it up every year. Would it even be beneficial to see if we can lower the tax rate a little bit if we're already gonna get that extra funds in there to help with that such inflated tax rate, just, you know, for the citizens? Just, if it's not, it's not, but just throw that question out there. If we're already gonna put $1 million in and we're already trying to adjust our tax rate to put that extra reserve in right now, can it
So
wash it out?
potentially,
Yeah,
your charge to us was to put in 30 days.
yes.
We were not able to get there.
Mhm.
So we got 24 was about as high as we could get. If we get the other million, it's gonna be minuscule.
yeah, because we're already behind
Right.
as it is, so.
I think what she's saying is we were good with the
23 days?
Yes.
If we can go ahead and assume that 1 million from the gas sale, replace it with what we would have included in the tax rate, lowering that tax rate by the 1 million we had already included.
Understand.
So what we're wanting to do is the consideration of washing that and reducing by 1 million.
Understand.
Would it make a difference on the actual tax rate? Like, would we lower it, or would it not make that big of a difference to?
I think it's not gonna make that big of a difference. I mean, you're talking in a $60 million budget, you're talking 1 million.
Yeah,
But-
yes, because it's on the INS, it's an INS side as well, so those would be restricted monies.
Part of the problem also would be if we add that 1 million back into the balance of our reserve, it will affect the interest rate of the money that we have to borrow.
Yes,
And if it is higher, and the financial advisor has already recommended that we try to do it in this budget year, then it would cost us considerably, I think, with the $7 million we need to do the capital impact work.
it'd lower interest rate,
Yeah.
is what you're saying, Mayor, yes.
Which is gonna be a lower, long-term.
A lower tax rate, it could potentially reduce the tax rate, potentially.
So next year, because we have, you know, a year-by-year plan of increasing our reserve, would that 1 million be able to allow us to pull back if our goal is so many days, we can offset it that way with next year?
You can. We're happy to plug in the number and take out the 23 days, is what it would be doing, is zeroing that out. Because we'll get the million and seeing what that number would be. But yes, so essentially we'll be adding 10 more days than our goal this year, so next year we could add 20 instead of 30.
I'll be more beneficial just to wait till next year. I was just trying to wonder.
No, it's a good question, and we don't mind playing with the numbers a little bit. I just think in the overall scheme, it's not gonna make as big of a difference as maybe we're thinking. You know, we're looking at the general fund, which is this much of a pie that's this big. You have to consider the whole.
And just kind of going back, and the reason why I asked that, you know, we all understand why we're trying to do this larger tax rate increase, and that's gonna be something something that's gonna be hard to sell to certain parts of the town, like the ones that can't actually afford it. That's gonna be hard on their pocketbook. There's one question I had asked back on the 10th of July, like how are we gonna market out to those areas that it actually is going to affect if we do this tax rate? And going to Councilman Brundrett's point, those are the people that might benefit from, that are annexed or might need more drainage or actually need those things that we're gonna hire the tax rate for to get done. Have you guys thought about how you're gonna actually get this information out before we actually set it, or have you thought any more on how this is gonna be presented to the public?
Right, so that's what we were talking about just a second ago. Reagan upstairs, where'd Shelley go? Reagan is working on some flyers. We did a decent job last year with the information that we put out, so we're gonna build on that. We're gonna have pictures of the actual roads that we intend to do. It's like the mayor said, it can say, we can put out the CIP, these are the coming projects, or maybe Brad said it, I don't know. These are the coming projects. We'd wanted to do a video, but I'm not sure that we have time or the skill to do what we wanted with a video, but we might get a little part of it done. We're gonna just push it out the very best we can. I'm not a marketer, but we're gonna put out just data. All I know to do is put the facts out there, and the facts end up being what they are. And if you want us to spend a little bit of money and get some marketing done, we can certainly do that. But I think that just pushing out raw data, definitive facts, and continually updating the projects, it might be important, Ryan, to show what we did with the money that we asked for this year. How have we spent that? And then how are we spending the coming year?
I just ask consideration of the audience in which that data is being presented to, because the same way you may present something to us or anyone else, it needs to be in simple terms, so the whole audience.
Robbie will not be in charge of the graphics. In appreciation of what you did last year, Ryan said something today in a meeting, I'm totally putting him on the spot, but would you tell them what you told your leadership group this morning?
I think it was kind of talking about like 20 years worth of work in the last 3 years, as far as the funding that council has given, public works, just on my end, we'll get into some detail, and I think we have some stuff that, the citizens want to hear, but, it's on the lines of, we've built, pumps. We did 6 pumps or so that will last the lifetime of everybody in here. We've done tanks, and every year we're doing these big projects that we will never have to touch, council will never have to worry about, and we have maintenance plans set in place that we've never had ever. So I think we're doing a really good job with the money that council's given us, and we're gonna continue to do that. So, and then I want everybody to be able to see what, Parks is doing, the police department, everybody. So, I think that's gonna be our next push, and Vanessa's gonna guide us in that direction, so.
It's very important, he was talking about pumps and stuff. No one knows. No one knows, and no one will until your toilet doesn't flush. But every day you turn your water on and your toilet flushes, Ryan has done something. And that's with money that you guys have allotted. And there's a huge gratitude on staff's part because we feel like we're getting caught up. And I will say that there is most likely a huge gratitude on your citizens' part because their system is not falling apart anymore. And when he said he's done 20 years worth of work in the last 3 years, I don't think he's exaggerating. I think he's genuinely upgraded the system to where we now have reliable water, wastewater system, and maintenance plans that, like you said, will outlive all of us, so.
And so I have to agree with you having to present the ones that maybe people don't see every day in front of them, that they're doing these projects in the last 3 years, for them to know that these have been done. And just that CIP project that they're gonna be projects that people are seeing every day getting done in front of them and actually making that visual impact instead of just, behind the scenes kind of work. And so having both of those twofold, having that information, and I don't wanna spend extra money. We don't need to spend extra money to do it, but just a way to try to get out just to that other community that, our workshop's 1 o'clock, most of those people are working. And you can't make people go to meetings, I understand that completely, but there just has to be a way to get that information out there. It's like, hey, I know you're having this money, but it's going to impact you in such a positive way that it's gonna be worth it to you. Like, if you're hiring a plumber, oh, man, it's $250, that's a lot of money, but you know what? My toilet's gonna work, I'm gonna see it, I'm gonna get my return on investment on that. As long as they can see that, I think it will make a big difference in what we are presenting as a tax rate increase or a budget out there this year. So that's.
So we'll start pushing stuff out. If you guys see something that you think could be presented different, better, or in another way, give us that. If you have an idea of something you wanna see, if somebody out here has an idea of something they wanna see, we'll break it down and we'll put it out in, I like graphs, put it in an easy graph for everybody to understand. We can push out data all day long. And we'll hopefully reach every audience.
We are, every week we do a staff update, every department, and that's what we're doing every single day. And I know we're posting that online on our website, no? Are we not?
We don't post the Friday report.
It's just, to council?
We can.
So, but that's, using that information, y'all are seeing what we're doing, and that's exactly it, so. If we can channel that in a different way, then, and make it public, then.
The weekly staff update's great. I enjoy seeing that weekly and then seeing what we're doing. But maybe if there's something we can, I don't wanna say dumb it down, but just pretty it up, because I don't know if they need all the facts.
Pictures,
The
you know, I
figures
mean,
and
yeah.
stuff. But yeah, like pictures, hey, this is what, we did a pump this week, or
So
we did streets, or parks did this.
So we do have the monthly report
Yeah,
that goes into more depth. To do that weekly would
be
be
cumbersome.
pretty time consuming. But the monthly report has those type of things in it.
Okay,
And that is online every month.
that's true. Well, that's, we stick with that.
Anything else?
And again, the roads, that's why they're doing the arterials first, is because everybody enjoys those. And so and if we want to do some equivalent, if you want to do the 252 increase, that's probably the cost of getting the wheel alignment, hitting those potholes and stuff on there. So it's, however you want, slice and dice it.
Appreciate it.
Yes,
Thank you, Rodney.
Yes, sir.
Anyone else?
Are we skipping the 11th?
We're skipping the 11th. That's what I heard.
Yeah, I think that we talked about quite a bit.
On the 12th, we'll just see those other numbers. On the 12th, we'll just see those other numbers, that, Mayor Pro Tem was asked about, if we put that $1 million in there, how that slides that scale. We'll just see. Or do you just want to?
Keeping it this year, because they're saying municipal, we'll do it next year. And
Okay.
We'll just take the 10 days off next year, that's.
Gotcha.
It's something we decide to do, or we just keep it and add additional 10 days to our
Okay.
schedule.
And remember the gas sale, payoff dates are gonna fluctuate, interest is gonna fluctuate, things are gonna, that's not, maybe it was premature, but that's not a guaranteed million. That's the estimate right now, so.
So next year would be a better option if we do actually get that.
Yep.
On the gas sale, what do we have? Can I discuss that on this part, budget?
So it'll be on Tuesday's agenda.
Okay,
Corpus has approved the sale agreement. We are waiting on some information on the franchise agreement. We can only do a 20-year franchise agreement. They've asked for 50, so we've got to balance that out. They've got to accept the 20. And hopefully they'll both be on Tuesday for your approval.
okay.
We're trying to close it by the 28th or 9th. Trying to close the sale.
Of August,
No, September.
September.
If there's nothing else, I'll entertain a motion.
Second.
He did it. We got a motion and a second. We're adjourned.
Say again?